Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and the shaded Jerry Hamilton. As long as Texas remains number one, he'll have the Gooders on. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We're going to get to those in a little bit. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, it's game week. We're 5 days away from kickoff. That's crazy. Tell us who your favorite number 5 is as well. Lots of good number 5s. We'll circle back to that. A lot of good ones. But first, guys, as I said, it's game week. And a little bit more movement on the line. Last week it dipped down to 1.5, went back up to 2. Now we're at 1.5 again, according to ESPN Analytics. They give Texas a 53.3% chance to win. But what are we thinking 5 days out?
I think the big one for me is people are hammering the under on this game. I think people are hammering the under. That's one of the big things I think is going to maintain. I think the line will fluctuate a little bit, but I think the main thing with this game is a lot of money, I bet, is without looking at the numbers, you might be able to find it, is going to the under on this game. That's one of my big takeaways from the bettors world.
It's something we talked about because, look, last year the game was 28-14.
Yeah.
That's the under. And that in that game, if you recall, there was a third-year starter in Will Howard, even though he came over from Ohio State, and there was a third-year starter for Texas in Quinn Ewers. So, look, could it be an over? Perhaps. That's why there's a line there, right? But my point is, and I think what everybody would say is, look, they only scored 42 last year, and 7 of that was on a fumble return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I think we all need to understand that. That's why I think that's going. I'm more interested in what the line has done, down from 2.5 at the open, now down to 1.5. Interesting to see exactly what's going on there. That means on a neutral site, Texas would be the favorite here. But they're not playing at a neutral site. They're playing in Columbus this coming Saturday, 5 days away.
And let's actually take a look at what it's going to look like in Columbus on Saturday, guys. Perfect football weather, a high of 76. I think the low was like around 58, 59, if I remember correctly. But it says pleasant with times of clouds and sun.
40% cloud cover, a 40% chance cloud cover is a very good thing. You don't want to be, I don't care where you're at, you don't want to be baking in a clear sky for 4 hours, especially with Ohio State fans. You don't want to be doing that. That'll make the experience really bad. So I think it's great weather for the game, not gusty winds, nothing that really will affect kicking game that much as of right now. That's the other thing I'm watching is there a change in the wind? Is there something that come in that may affect the kicking game? Right now, it looks like a perfect day for football. And, Fox and ESPN, big noon kickoff, Corso's last headgear pick. It's all lining up perfectly for the moneymakers right now. Weather good, the opposite of Dublin Saturday. So the weather's good. And, it looks great for everybody going up there.
I cannot wait until it's about 9 a.m. on 9 o'clock or 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. Crisp, cool air right around Ohio Stadium, getting ready to walk into that game now. That is going to be – there's going to be some juice flowing. And I'm not talking about the bourbon, the vodka, or the beer. I'm talking about I'm just talking about natural adrenaline and the build-up to this game. It's been, 7 months since the Longhorns lost to Ohio State. It's been 7 months since the Longhorns have took the field and everybody's been able to watch them. I'm definitely ready to see what the Longhorns have. It's an exciting time right now.
Yep. All right, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, very happy to do that. Thank you very much, Blake. And we appreciate our sponsor, John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management. He's been sponsoring us now. This starts 3 years for On Texas Football. John's a proud Texas Ex's Life member whose wife and 6 siblings are also UT grads. It's his family passion for UT that led John to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management, and dedicated to providing investment, retirement, life, disability, and long-term care insurance and estate planning services and solutions to Longhorn families and friends across the nation for more than 30 years. John enjoyed connecting with the OTF team at the Dallas Tour event last Thursday. Thank you, John, for showing up. And he is thrilled to announce that this Monday's show will mark the beginning of Longhorn Wealth Management's third year of sponsoring OTF's Monday Coffee and Football Show. To celebrate the anniversary, John wants to offer all OTF fans the opportunity to take advantage of a free 90-minute private consultation to learn how working with John, along with the Longhorn Wealth team, can help you minimize your taxes, maximize your wealth, and ensure your legacy. Call John and the Longhorn Wealth team, 972-707-4900, or go online, www.longhornwealth.net, to schedule your free private 90-minute consultation today. Again, longhornwealth.net. Thanks, John. Cheers.
Okay, guys. Well, here in a little bit, Sark is going to have a press conference. Texas also, I believe, making an announcement later this morning as well. But what are we hoping to hear this morning?
Well, if you missed it, something just came across the wire on the Texas announcement. University of Texas is pleased to announce they are hiring Avery Johnson's dad and older brother to be security for Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns in Columbus. That's that's breaking news. That's big news.
Jerry,
the Johnsons are ready to do battle in Columbus.
Jerry, not everybody is in on this joke. So you gotta explain yourself. While I think the majority are college football fans, please explain the joke itself, if you don't mind.
Well, the people in the chat seem to be security finding each other would be the issue. Well, Dublin took no prisoners, as it turned out, in the first college football game of the season. Avery Johnson's dad and brother started fighting each other in the stands after the game, and they had to issue an apology. So, just everything that happens first college game of the year. Quarterback for Kansas State's dad and older brother get into a fist fight with each other after the game in the stands.
I don't even think it was a stand. I think it was outside the venue.
Yeah, outside the venue.
Yeah, look, that you think Cooper Manning and Hyde Manning are going to be fighting?
No.
I would say this. It's a sad. I look on that, and I wish I know it's a joke and it's funny and all this other stuff, but man, what a sad state when you're fighting with your own son. It devolves into like actually throwing punches. Not good. Hopefully,
smart hires by Texas.
Yeah. What did you say?
Smart hires by Texas. They're
hiring the Johnsons as security.
Yeah. That was quite. Look, that was quite the interview Saturday. They skipped the interview process and took it right to social media.
Oh my, Jerry. What do we think is going to be announced today? There's a couple things. One, there's a 10 o'clock announcement that is certainly sponsor related. So whether it's a new deal with somebody or an existing deal that gets expanded, we shall see. We've heard some things behind the scenes that it could be a very large deal with an existing MMR, multimedia rights player. But we'll see if that's the case or if it's something else that Texas is planning to announce. And then at 11:30, this is the more important part for me personally, Steve Sarkisian goes to the microphone, and we'll hear from him. One of the things we talked about last week, Jerry, is Sark has released his two-deep roster at various times. He's done it on a Monday. He's done it on a Tuesday. He's done it the minute that you walk into the press box on Saturday.
Yeah, the last 2 years.
Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to me to see what we get out of Sark today in that regard and see if he has any updates on injuries. Trevor Gooseby has been injured and has not fully participated in practice. Hopefully he's able to go in against Ohio State. We believe he will be able to. Also, Emmett Mosley, what's going on with the transfer from Stanford? He also hasn't participated heavily in practice the last couple of weeks. I want to hear if there's any other injuries out there as well. If Sark is willing to let us know, we shall see. So
I think I've got a small update on Gooseby. I think, look, he didn't practice last week. I think he'll return to practice this week, and we'll see how the healing process goes. But I do think he's will be practicing this week.
All right. We have a couple of super chats I want to jump over to real quick. This one from Drew Lockhart. He says, especially the first half, I can't help but think our defense and the speed and versatility is going to overwhelm Sand and the speed of the game. What are your thoughts? Not having to worry about Henderson and Judkins is a blessing.
I think that it would be a recipe for a win for Texas. So, Drew, you're thinking the right direction, in my opinion. But I will say this: Julian Sand is an elite quarterback prospect for a reason. Is he going? I don't think he's going to, fade under pressure necessarily. That's why he was rated as highly as he is in the first place. If he did that, that would be a bad sign for Ohio State, not just against Texas, but anybody. I do agree with the Keyshawn Judkins, Travion Henderson conversation. Henderson, of course, had the big screen catch that really was a backbreaker for Texas at the end of the first half. But we were talking about this last night. Texas Ohio State had 15 carries, only carried 15 times between Judkins and Travion Henderson last year. 15 times for 78 yards. It would be interesting to see if they decide to lean more heavily on their run game with a new quarterback this year. So it's kind of interesting that they're going to go into this situation with a not as good a running backs. No offense to the young men that are there right now, but I don't think they're quite Judkins or Henderson level. And yet they may lean on the run more to help protect their young quarterback. We'll see. All right, Bryson. Texas! There we go. We're getting going. I'm ready. It's 5 days away.
That's all right. Then we have another super chat from Hoosier Horns. Thank you for your super chat. Says, happy game week, OTF. Let's get it. Arch for 2 in the air, 1 on the ground, 265 passing, 12 with the feet, 1 interception. Texas by 6. What do y'all think? Blake, you can't be muted this week.
Look, if Arch is part of 3 touchdowns, Texas probably wins the game. If those are what happens, if Arch Manning has 2 in the air, 1 on the ground, 265 passing, I'd bet on Texas winning that game unless it turns into some crazy shootout. Those numbers, if he accounts for 3 touchdowns, that Texas probably wins the football game. I mean, if that happens.
All right. And speaking of games, let's look at some other other football games across the country this week, fellas. And let's start with LSU and Clemson. Clemson, of course, right now a 4-point favorite. The over-under set at 57.5. Curious to get y'all's thoughts on that one.
That's such an intriguing game for me because I really think, look, both quarterbacks are NFL guys, potentially both first-round picks. I think everybody knows that. Both have really talented receivers, especially if LSU's transfers like Nick Anderson are healthy. They suddenly have a really good receiver core once again. Nick Anderson to go with the other guys on that team. Caden Durham, really talented second-year running back. LSU actually has the better running back in this game. But this game, to me, outside of home field, comes down to which D coordinator makes the most gains defensively. Now, Blake Baker's in year 2, so a little advantage there, but a heavy portal additions, like maybe 6 starters out of the portal in this game. Then Clemson, Allen, is he a miracle worker in quick, short order? Because they have talented players, but they were not a good defensive team last year. So which of these D coordinators is made up the most ground for their defense in this game? I really think that's going to be your deciding factor in this game because both of these guys have a lot of pressure on them from a defensive standpoint. Clemson's ranked top 3 in the country And defensively, they weren't even close to a team that could win a national championship last year. They just weren't even in that stratosphere defensively. And LSU, the same. So it's going to be both ranked in the top 10. Whose defense, which defensive coordinators had made the most gains with their team in the last few months?
And we're going to come back and look at some more of those here in just a little bit. We'll do that throughout the show. But it looks like we have a special guest this morning, so I'm going to bring him on in. Rod Babers, how we doing?
What's up, fellas? Good morning.
How you doing, Rod? We don't get you on in the morning enough. You got to do more of this with us. But Rod, I thought we'd ask you this morning. You've been covering the Longhorns and been a Longhorn yourself. It is game week. What's it feel like if you're a player right now getting ready to go this week? Is this like hey, by the way, I think the Longhorns are also starting classes this week.
Yes.
By the way, so that's a little bit of change for the student body. What's it feel like as you're getting primed and pumped and ready for this game?
I still get the butterflies this time of year. There's still a switch that is flipped game week, no matter who the opponent is. But of course, this week, of course, you're talking about something unprecedented with Texas versus Ohio State that we've never seen. So that's an extra just layer of excitement overall. I'm sure the student body out there, there's a buzz with them because they understand how big this game is. So I think as a player, game week, there's a different focus, and you've been obviously in training camp mode and still doing prep for the game, but there is nothing like game week, gentlemen, in terms of crystallizing your focus and making sure that you really, really grind on those details because honestly, that's what's going to make the game for you. When you're talking about the details of you as working together as a unit or your details of your technique and fundamentals, game week is what separates the great coaches too. It's what separates, man. You got a fixed amount of time. Everybody does, because now I'm a student. I got to go to class. I got other obligations. I got family too. Trust me, family wanna. There's obligations there as well. Social obligation, all that stuff. You got a fixed amount of time. You got to boil it down to what matters, and that's what I love about game week. Whether you're talking about a coach's perspective or a player's perspective, it's only a fixed amount of time. Who's going to gain that advantage?
Hey, Rod, I know you've dug into it quite a bit. What are your keys for Texas in this game?
Oh, man, I'm already getting to some nerd stuff. I brought this up with you guys yesterday. It seems pretty simple, right? You're going to take away a team's strength, and Texas defense going up against that Ohio State offense. The strength is it's the best wide receiving room in college football. They have supposedly a generational player at wide receiver where you want to win the numbers advantage, right, in the passing game. In that matchup. So I assume you'll keep a lot of two deep safeties, a lot of two high shell coverages, and also kind of too high pre-snap look just to deter the quarterback or even looking that way. You'd rather they got to check. All right, let's check it down. If it's RPO, hey, let's hand it off at that point, because then at least you're taking away the strength. With that being said, that's going to leave you at a disadvantage in the box. You're going to be outnumbered a lot of times in the box. And can you stop the run with a light box? Something Texas has been great at, by the way, under PK in the last 3 years. But you've had arguably the best D tackle room in college football the last couple of years. Byron Murphy, Javondre Sweat, Alfred Collins, Vernon Broughton. This year, can that group step up and also be able to fit the run so well that you can stop it with an even and a light box, or at least be able to contain it with an even and light box? That's going to be, to me, the math that you're working with on the defensive side for Texas. But on the offensive side for Texas, it's the mystery of Matt Patricia. We don't know what Matt Patricia's bringing to the table. Nobody does. That mystery is an advantage for him, straight up. Sark knows it. Everybody knows it. Now, how long will that advantage last? Could last first 5 minutes, could last first quarter, could last the whole first half. Who knows? That's up to Matt Patricia. But I think Steve Sarkisian will go in kind of doubling down on who he is as an offensive mind. So it's not going to be so much about Matt Patricia and specifically what he's going to do. They know certain guys, Caleb Downs. I mean, you got to find out where he is on every play. And there are certain fundamentals to just what Matt Patricia has been throughout his play calling career, but you don't know specifically what he's going to do. So you got to feel your way through the game. It's going to be really an interesting experiment for Sark. He did it last year with Wink Martindale too, though. Versus Michigan. Michigan had 6-7 NFL players on that defense.
Oh, yeah.
That defense probably had more. And I don't know. I mean, I got to look at it, but it was loaded too. Now, Ohio State, I'm sure, got some young bucks that can go. But so I think Sark will be up to the task. I'm not too worried about it. He'll find a way to exploit a certain matchup that he finds throughout the game, or he'll find something schematically that presents a problem for Matt Patricia.
So let me ask you this, because we were just discussing it earlier. The 47.5 point over-under. Do you see this as a lower scoring game or as something that eclipses that?
Oh, yeah. I just no way I see it being kind of a shootout, because I don't see Ohio State's offense being able to just take advantage, right, and exploit that Texas defense. So I think it's going to be both teams feeling each other out, right? You got a brand new starting quarterback for Ohio State. Texas got themselves a new starting quarterback. So I think a lot of the offensive play calling will be getting them in the groove, getting them comfortable. And, you're not doing that by just taking shots down the field. And I think that will start with kind of a short passing game, RPO game, underneath game to get those guys in a rhythm. Also, I do think both teams will try to establish the run, because especially Texas on the road, because Texas can run the football. Playbook is wide open for Sark then. Then if Texas run the football consistently, they're going to win this game.
Yeah, Rod, and we talked about it last night, but I don't think it's two offensive coaches not being aggressive, but I do think there's an element of protecting the quarterback a little as they feel out this game. To your point, look, if I'm Ohio State, I'm going to try to run it at Colin Simmons early. If my left tackle's all that he's being talked up to be, I'm going to try to slow down Texas' best pass rusher and run at him a little early and see if he's ready to take that big step as a 3-down player this year. See if he's up to the task, right? I'm gonna try to run it a little bit early, get Julian Sand in more second and mediums, third and shorts the mediums, instead of immediately out of the gate in 3rd and 12s. That could be screen game to Smith, whatever it is. They're also going to look to get the ball in the Smith's hands more, I think, early in this game, no matter how it is. But Rod, to your point, I think what'll be interesting for me is in what you said is like Texas, I think for the defensive game plan, which what we think it'll be to work, they have to get pressure with 4 and 5 guys. If they don't, then you start with secondary and vulnerable positions against the best receiver core you'll play all year.
Yep, I agree. Then you roll. Hey, you know what? Texas can't afford to do that. I think Texas can afford to do things on defense that Ohio State cannot, because they got a new new play calling coordinator there, and they got a lot of new pieces. Texas got all-star caliber players, all-American caliber players at every level of the defense, and they've had continuity. Guys have been in that system the same, for a long time, same communication, same terminology. So I think if anybody can throw out some exotic looks, throw out some very, I think confusing, complex looks early on, which teams don't do in game one usually, and Ohio State probably can't do because they've only had so much time with a new offensive play caller a new defensive play caller to be able to do that. I think for Texas, they can really try to confuse and rattle the cage of a Julian Sand, a new starting quarterback. They can do it a little bit more, I think, than Ohio State will be able to.
Yeah, I think that it's going to come down to who protects their quarterback a little bit too, exactly. Right? Like if Texas can protect Arch Manning, if Ohio State can protect Julian Sand, then it'll open up that playbook as well. Rod, everybody's commenting about the fresh haircut. What's going on? Is this a new look for Rod B or what's going on?
Rod and Baxter, man, same weekend.
No, we had the Texas tour, so I got the haircut for the Texas tour. But I do, you know what? I'm going to start fewer hats. All right, that's kind of what one of my new goals is. Like, no, I'm going to show off the cut and then try to look a little bit more professional for you folks out there. So,
hey, Rob, you said I'm not professional, Jerry. You're looking like Blake Monroe. Hey, Rod, in all seriousness, you got stuff. You got a live stream tonight. We're moving the winning drive. By the way, this is a programming note from the 3:15 to 4:30 range. We're now taking that to 7 to 8 tonight. Rod will be alongside Coach Bob Shipley as well as CJ Vogel. Jerry and I are moving Talking Ball to that 3 to 4 time slot, and we'll get going. But we have a lot of changes coming up for you guys, Rod, Jerry, and I, and the folks, Matt Hutchinson behind the scenes. Spent a lot of time this off season trying to figure out the programming for this coming season and adding new people. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But Rod, thanks, buddy, and appreciate you, man.
We got to get one question. He's got to get one question from the chat. Scott Knutson, Rod, can Tyanthi Smith be the unsung hero of game one?
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder, because I do wonder if they're going to play a little bit more 12 personnel, if they can see if they really can establish a run, get an extra gap in there, try to get an extra guy in the box to help them block. And then Texas will counter with playing, a little bit more 40 personnel with just 4 DBs out there and, 3 and 4 linebackers out there. And then a guy like Tyanthi Smith could get some more run, get some more reps, and then maybe could make them plays you're talking about, that unsung hero in game one. I've been thinking about that a little bit, so I appreciate that question. That's a good one.
12 personnel from the offense.
Yeah, 12 personnel on their side, because then you take away all Texas complex looks in the secondary, and then you can really isolate in the secondary. You're like, oh, you want to double Jeremiah Smith? You got 4 DBs on the field. 2 of them want to be devoted to one guy. All right, we can really make some play with Max Clare and those tight end linebacker matchups.
Yeah, good stuff. Rod, thank you so much, buddy. We'll see you tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
Look Horns, man. It's game week. We should have asked Rod. I bet Rod's favorite number 5 of all time, by the way. Brooks. Yes, it was good friend Ahmad Brooks was in the same secondary with Rod. So good stuff. Thanks, Rod, for joining us. I mentioned those changes. We're also doing a couple other things, guys. We are now going to be working with Marcus Myers. Will be coming on, working with us. He'll be doing a Thursday night live stream with Rod, as well as Coach Shipley. Also, Will Matthews, we've mentioned this before, with us on Thursdays. And on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, Amanda Atwell, who has been a UT journalism grad, as well as sports director at TV stations in Amarillo and Harlingen, and is most notably known as a co-host of the Moving Goalpost podcast with Billy Lucci, will be joining us every Tuesday and Wednesday night. Not Lucci, but Amanda. On Tuesday and Wednesday nights. And then also, Blake, you've got a high school football show you're doing with Bob Shipley, Carl Padilla, and multi-state championship winning head coach.
Yes.
Tim Alito. That should be fun for folks that talk a little high school football as well. That'll be on Friday mid-morning.
That's right. Looking forward to that.
A lot of stuff.
And if you want to read about the programming changes in depth, I put Bobby actually wrote them out, little piece that he put out last night. I put the link for that in the chat, so people can go check that out as well over there and kind of get the full scoop on everything. We got a lot of questions to get to, but first, I'm going to let Jerry tell us our new sponsors this morning.
Texas fans, do you have your Chubbies? If not, I got the read for you guys. Are you ready for some football? If you're not, Chubbies is ready to help you with their NFL collection. Whether you're tailgating, grilling, or riding the highs and lows of the game from your couch, Dallas Cowboys fans, Chubbies is officially licensed NFL gear to keep you looking like the ultimate fanatic. With bold designs featuring your favorite NFL teams, Chubbies game day gear isn't just comfortable, it's a statement. You always want to make a statement. Rep your team's logos with wild, comfortably polos, wave-making swim trunks, and gym-ready mesh shorts. Yep, you heard it here right. Swim trunks with your favorite NFL team's logo on them. No better way to jump into the pool than with Dallas Cowboys shorts on. All the comfort and the swagger you need to take every touchdown dance, chest bump, and dramatic fourth quarter meltdown. Boy, that's a great part of the read. Chubbies is the ultimate football apparel brand. So much so they created their own fantasy football league. George Kittle, Ian Rappaport, and others have come together to assemble the Chubbies League on NFL Fantasy. Each week, the top 5 scorers will run a chance at Chubbies polo shorts combo with their team's logos. The grand champion gets at the chance at the ultimate fan experience, a 5-city, 5-stadium NFL tour with a +1, probably Blake Monroe. While the fantasy flop faces a hilarious and unforgettable punishment, only Chubbies can pull off. Head to chubbiesshorts.com/Chubbies League to learn more. And would you look at that? For a limited time, our friends at Chubbies are giving our listeners at On Texas Football $10 off with the promo code ONTexas at chubbiesshorts.com/OnTexas. Again, that's $10 off your order with promo code on Texas. Get your chubbies.
There was no question who was doing that ad read, by the way, when we Jerry gets chubbies. There we go.
Chubbies, Texas fans.
And Bobby, tell us about Mint Mobile.
This is more my style. You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill while you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends for Texas football games. Your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why you can make the switch to Mint Mobile. It's the wireless plan I sent my son off to college with. With Mint, you can get coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money and for a limited time. Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling literally and financially. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer and your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/ontexas. That's mintmobile.com/ontexas. Upfront payment of $45 is required. It's an equivalent to the $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. That's mintmobile.com/ontexas.
I knew the chat was going to run wild. OG Sling Play, what if UT football has already given me plenty of chubbies? We're going to leave it at that.
Need back-to-back chubby lawnmower 5.0, yeah, with a joy mode mixed in. I agree.
Oh, God.
Back-to-back pattern.
Oh, goodness.
What people say to do in our business.
A couple of comments here on Super Chats. Miracle Martinez, thank you for the Super Chat. Says, OTF, thanks for adding Amanda. A great addition. And
I'm happy that she wanted to join us.
Yep.
So it's takes two. So thank you.
And then let's see here. Cade Stewart says it's 8:32 a.m. Well, by now it's 8:50. Sorry, Cade. We're just now getting to it. No, you still sucks. Texas 24-10 versus Ohio State Saturday morning. Defense shows why they're number one defense in the country. Front seven will overwhelm saying, hook 'em.
So I'm going to comment on this. If Texas held Ohio State to 10 in Columbus, I think the one thing that would come out of this game is everybody be saying Texas has the best defense in the country. By the way, Ohio State's last home opener loss, for those that don't know, 1999, Miami Hurricanes went into Columbus and won 23-12. Now, of course, most of your home openers are not against Power 4 or really good opponents, but Ohio State's last home loss in a season opener, for those wondering, 1999, Miami Hurricanes, 23-12.
And then we have another super chat regarding Ohio State with a comment. Sugarcane Daddy says Arch throws 3 touchdowns, leaves Columbus the Heisman favorite.
Yeah, that was a topic last night on our live stream. And my point of view is Arch shouldn't be the Heisman favorite. That doesn't mean I don't think he can win it. I think any of these guys can win it. I didn't think he should be the Heisman favorite entering the season, the betting favorite. But I'll say this, if he has a really good first game, I mean, if he throws somebody said 265, 3 touchdowns, something like that, and Texas wins, him and Cade Klubnik, assuming Klubnik has a big game and they beat LSU, are going to be battling this thing out. That's where it's going to head, unless Lenoris Sellers becomes Lenoris Newton.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry, the reality of it is Sugarcane Daddy, he's not good. If he leaves the Heisman favorite, Columbus, it's how he entered, because he's currently the Heisman favorite.
Yeah.
Never seen anything. Has started 2 games as a as a college player. I don't know. Has there ever been a player that has started a grand total of 2 games and entered the season as the Heisman favorite ever? Yeah, I mean,
the last first-year starter, and this is kind of getting into some asterisk stuff because Kyler Murray started a number of games at A&M his freshman year. The last first-year starting quarterback to win the Heisman was Jameis Winston in 2013.
But he didn't enter. My point is the hype is so big around Arch.
Oh no, it's not. It's since Tim Tebow.
Yeah, and my point is that Jameis Winston didn't go into the season the Heisman favorite. Arch has started 2 games and he goes into the, and I will say this, it doesn't, and perhaps it's part of the reason why people feel this way. You see guys like Brooks Austin and the film guy do breakdowns of Arch and what they like about him so much. You hear Ed Orgeron last week, the former LSU quarterback or LSU head coach. He's asked if you could start a college football team today, who would you take? And he picks Arch Manning and says he's the closest thing to Joe Burrow that he's seen. I mean, the hype is real and it's tangible because, I mean, Vegas says it is. I just think it's bizarre that we have a young person that has literally started 2 college games and is the Heisman favorite.
You know what's crazy? While you're talking
happened.
about, I looked up 2013. Who were the Heisman Trophy preseason favorites? The year Jameis Winston won the last first-year starting quarterback. Number 1 was A.J. McCarron. He didn't win the Heisman, but he married well, right, Brent Musburger? He was the favorite. Braxton Miller could really run forward pass, somewhat of an issue. Taylor Martinez was a guy that was being bet on at Nebraska. Taj Boyd at Clemson, he lost his job. Aaron Murray at Georgia, his brother's more famous now for being on The Bachelor. Boy, this group didn't fare so well, did they, in the Heisman race? Teddy Bridgewater was 6. And Johnny Manziel was 7 in some of that list. But that was interesting if you look back at that Heisman Trophy year. Jadeveon Clowney was 8th the year that Jameis Winston won it.
We got a couple of super chat predictions that I'm going to read you guys. This first one here from Bryson Bass. Thank you, Bryson, for another super chat. It says back-to-back seasons knocking off the defending national champs, 27-13 Texas. Manny M snags a pick 6 in the 4th to put a nail in the coffin. And then Rocky P says OTF hitting 154,000 subscribers. My math is correct. That's almost double what you had a week or so ago. Amazing work. Prediction for the game, 31-21 Texas. Injuries says the offensive MVP, Jelani McDonald, the defensive MVP. So McDonald and Muhammad getting some high praise from the chat.
And injuries. And injuries. We've talked a lot. I mean, Ohio State fans are giddy, by the way, over their tight ends. They think they have the best group of tight ends in the country. The transfer from Purdue, along with some other pieces of what they've got. I think it'll be interesting to see exactly how they use the tight end in this game. But Jack Indries has not been someone, Jerry, right or wrong, that we personally have spent a lot of time talking about, because tight end just isn't. Yeah, it's not a sexy position, right? But what does Sark say? Second most important position on offense. And if you look going into last year, who expected Gunnar Helm to truly have, other than Gunnar Helm and his parents, who truly expected Gunnar Helm to step up like he did in this Longhorn offense? So not a bad one, in my opinion.
By the way, I need to correct myself. Yeah.
Rod and you love Jelani McDonald. I love him too.
I love Jelani McDonald.
You guys are thinking big time years from him.
Yeah. By the way, I need to correct myself. I was thinking of Kelly Bryant, not Taj Boyd. Taj Boyd did start all his years. Here's one that's interesting. Boy, Patrick Page, our East Texas guy, blast from the past. Ohio State hadn't utilized a tight end since Ricky Dudley. Ricky Dudley out of Henderson, Texas, man. Good one, Patrick Page. The way back East Texas machine there.
Then Rocky P talking about that 154,000 subscribers. So Jeff Carey here has a pair of super chats. This first one, thank you, Jeff, by the way. I'm upping my prediction on subs by the end of October to 250,000. But then his first one he put in, if I can find it, y'all got so many questions this morning. Jeff says 155,000 subs. What's going on? Please explain.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we have not advertised directly with Google ever before. We've gone this backwards route where we're doing that sort of thing. But now we're advertising directly with Google for the first time ever. And it's working. And so that's been great for us, and we're really excited about it. I will add this, in it's only good. The subscribers are only good if people watch the shows and want to see what we're talking about. And right now, I think as I'm speaking, we're going to eclipse 1,600 live viewers of this programming. And I think that we really appreciate that and don't take it lightly. And I'm not going to do anything. Some people are saying, oh, well, you're doing this. I would never do anything that would risk the entirety of our business. So don't even go there with us. This is all through Google, getting our word out to new people, and very, very happy about it and excited about where we're going. And I will add this. I purposely did this the week before the 2 weeks before the Ohio State game. We don't have unlimited money to market. And so we wanted to do it when the getting was good. And so I'm excited about what has happened so far.
All right. And OG Slingblade, thank you for another super chat, by the way. Let's see here. Matty M. Good morning, OTF. It's game week. Pumped up for an Arch-Keesian biennium. Hope triennium. I believe if we can have a reasonable power run game this season, Sark will be able to expand his playbook to its highest potential with Arch.
Do you think they're going to have a reasonable power run game this year? They should. Jerry and I are going to talk about this later today too.
Yeah.
Something that needs to be discussed is the physicality that we're hearing they went through this camp. Jerry and I both have heard it's been the most physical camp since Steve Sarkisian got to Texas. The most physical. All right. Now, I wrote in the article on Texas Football this morning. Part of that is NATO playing through the echo of the whistle. Not just the whistle, but the echo. I mean, there has been some heated, what I would call discussions in that. So, but it has bled over, I think, into what Sark wants to do. There are some folks who believe that Ohio State last year was more physical than Texas. They could, and in some ways they may be right, because they could actually run the ball against Texas because they had those inside running backs, and Texas was double teaming Jeremiah Smith, essentially double team. I feel like physicality is what Sark is circling right now. Beyond the X's and O's and Arch coming in, it's physicality that he wants to amp up.
Yeah,
season.
Bobby, I think to that point, if Ohio State beats Texas Saturday, if we play the if game all week, Sark does not want it to be because Ohio State was the more physical football team. If Texas goes up there and Ohio State wins, and they do it with Texas matching the physicality, you tip your cap and move on. But I do not think Sark wants that game to get on a plane and say they were the more physical team than us 2 games in a row when it mattered a lot. And we're going to talk about that later with the show later that Bobby and I are going to record. But yeah, so look, it's, to me, I think for Sark, in order for Sark, and a lot will be the looks Ohio State gives. I think one of the most interesting things that's happened in Ohio State camp is bringing in an outside defensive coach a couple of weeks before the season, because Matt Patricia went into a staff, was hired to coordinate a defense, and didn't hire any of the assistants under him. That's very, very rare. So I thought that was interesting that he brought in an outside person during camp. To me, and I'm not saying Ohio State's going to struggle, just something that I noted on that. But look, if Sark's going to have the whole play calling at his disposal for Arch, it's really going to come down to the offensive line and pass protection. Because these guys Sark wants to stretch the field vertically outside the numbers, longer developing routes. Arch wants to throw it down the field. The only way that happens is if you have pass pro. When talent's neutralized, you got to have time. You got to have time for the routes to develop, the scheme to take over. In pass pro, I think offensive line, the center has to have great communication on the road. You could argue the center and arch have the job is the same of importance, because if anything gets messed up pre-snap, it doesn't matter what happens behind you. So there's got to be great communication on the offensive line, and then the offensive line's got to hold up in pass pro. What's interesting is, where's Ohio State going to get their pass rush from early in the season? They lost 35 sacks off that team last year. That's a massive number to lose. I mean, it was both edges. Tyler Williams, Simon had 7 sacks, a great blitzing linebacker, right? A lot of those guys are gone. Is CJ Hicks, who they're very high on, going to come in and be that type of guy? It's possible. They recruit very talented players. No different. That's no different than Texas saying that if Colton Vasek has a healthy season, we think he can go have 7 or 8 sacks. No difference. CJ Hicks is a guy that's 3rd year in the program, very talented guy, right? Is it going to be Bo Atkinson, the transfer from North Carolina? Is Kenyatta Jackson going to go from a 2-sack guy to an 8-9 sack guy? Do they have a young buck that's really going to come on that people don't really know about or expecting yet? Where are they going to get that pass rush from? 35 sacks is a lot to lose off a team. That's what Patricia has to solve in game 1 against Texas for me.
Hope he doesn't. That's my response to that. I hope he doesn't. Let's let him remain. Let's be unsolvable for at least one more week for Matt Patricia.
Well, by
the way, with the Texas run game, somebody asked about Texas running more inside the tackles than a lot of outside zone. I do think you're going to see more gap and power out of Texas this year. How that's going to translate Saturday, I can't predict that, but I do think you're going to see it more this year.
Yeah, the question is how it successfully translates, right, Jerry? Because ultimately they can try to do that stuff, but if it doesn't work, then they may go back to, former ways. But Jerry's been reporting this for months, since the spring. They have been working on more gap and power schemes this offseason than previously.
We have more super chats to get to, but first I'm going to tell everyone about one of our other sponsors today. That's Prize Picks, and we make decisions every day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And with football now here, it's time to make that money. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks. It's simple. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can win. You can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Of course, Prize Picks has the NFL, but they also have college football as well. And with it being opening weekend for the Longhorns, I'm all over that. I'm taking Trey Wisner to score a touchdown, DeAndre Moore to have more than 19.5 receiving yards, and Julian Sayin to throw an interception. So come join me on that action. Make my picks or make your own. Make them in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Join millions of users and sign up today. Just download the Prize Picks app. Use code ONTexas. You're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's promo code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. Run your game. Bobby.
By the way, I was going to say, if any Oklahoma quarterbacks are watching, the On Texas promo works for you too.
Yes. No names mentioned. Bobby, tell us about Hargrove Roofing.
Yeah, thank you very much to our friends over at Hargrove Roofing, with offices across Texas, including Austin, as well as Louisiana and Arkansas, even Oklahoma now. Hargrove Roofing will take care of all of your roofing needs. Plus, they're Longhorn friendly, with partners like former defensive tackle Stevie Lee and new kicker Mason Shipley. They are the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. No one wants to turn their home over to a company they can't trust. So call Hargrove today for a free, no strings attached roof inspection. Just call 512-645-3202. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
We're not going to
say this. We're also having a get together. I think it's September 18th over at the Hole in the Wall on Thursday night again, Jerry. We did that last year with Hargrove. Hope to do that again this year.
Speaking of getting together, we got a couple of super chats asking about this weekend, Bobby, such as Kevin here. He says, how are we supposed to work this week with the game on our mind? And what's the OTF plan Friday evening / Saturday morning before the game? Hook 'em. It's your time, Manning, in the icy whites. And one other one here, Cinco de Mayor says, Bobby, sorry if I missed it, but will OTF be doing a tailgate or any get-together in Columbus? Heading out on Friday with my son. Hook 'em.
Yeah, absolutely. On Friday afternoon, we're going to be meeting at a place. I'm waiting for a call back, and I do expect it to be good, but I don't want to announce it quite yet because I don't want people to call and get reservations and stuff. We're actually getting an entire area for us at this place, and so I'm going to hold off on telling y'all that. Please check back here or any of our other shows whenever I do announce it. I'll also put it on our message board on TexasFootball.com. As far as the first super chat there, I don't know how people that have a different job work this week because I would be too excited about Texas playing football. So I get excited about the Longhorns now. It's fun. But, got to put things aside, Kevin. Get your work done.
MLH10 with the super chat says, thanks to Bobby and CJ for reposting my Bevo 7 post. His history is fascinating and a recommended read. Best mascot in all of college football.
Is there a better mascot? Like I've never even taken that up, but I mean, the only one that comes close to me is Ralphie the Buffalo. Like Mike the Tiger, he's in a cage all the time. Can't like walk a tiger.
Not successfully.
Not unless you're Siegfried Roy, and even they had problems.
Yeah, not successfully.
Is there a better mascot? Anybody think it's definitely not a collie. No offense. I like dogs, but
no, I'm going to leave my joke out of that. Let's see. I don't want to pick on that.
Seriously, Jerry, I'm asking you.
Well, so live animals like Kenny the Keg at Dartmouth's pretty cool.
Kenny the Keg?
Yeah, at Dartmouth's pretty cool.
What is that?
It's a keg.
It's a keg.
Joe Z would vote Oregon the duck.
Oh, come on.
No, but yeah,
laugh at that commercial.
Live mascots. Yeah, I mean, is number 2 the Sooner when it falls over? Hey,
the Hokey Bird, maybe?
Stanford
Hokey High.
Stanford doesn't like this, but Veely the Warrior at Hawaii is pretty cool.
Okay.
Pretty cool. The masked rider at Texas Tech will be Cody Campbell this year.
Chief Osceola at Florida State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the War Eagle's kind of cool at Auburn in a weird way, but yeah, man, ESPN did a list earlier and they had Uga number 1 who ran from Bevo. He can't be number 1. He ran away from number 3. Geez, get your list correct. And Ralphie the Buffalo is 2.
Yeah, I think it's good old Bevo, my man.
Yeah.
Good old Bevo.
All right, Seth with the super chat this morning says, does it help Sark and Patricia that they played in that Atlanta versus Patriots Super Bowl? And if so, who does it favor?
I don't think it matters at all.
Was Sark in that Super Bowl? I thought that was Kyle Shanahan was the offense coordinator in that Super Bowl.
Who was the OC?
I think it probably was.
Now, what Sark could he have been on the staff?
Yeah, it was Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator.
Was Sark on that staff, though, maybe?
Let me look.
So it's a tough question to answer. I will say this, like beyond that Super Bowl.
No, he wasn't.
The thing that I would say that these pro coaches that translate to college have to deal with is there's less time with the kids. And so once you get to pro ball, it is different teaching pro players than college players.
Yeah.
College players, you're simply trying to get them to do what they're supposed to do. And maybe you teach them a few nuances that they pick up as juniors and seniors, right? It's natural. It's like an apprentice at a job almost. Whereas in pro, it's all about the nuance. If you can't pick up the basics, you don't even have a chance. It's all about the nuance. And so Matt Patricia, it is going to have to change his coaching style going to college. at some level. I mean, I'm not saying long term, but until he gets to that, he's got to change it a little bit, even though he's dealing with really, really high caliber athletes at Ohio State.
Yeah,
he's got to change it a little.
Hey, I know we don't have a lot of time to spend on this. We got so many super chats, so many questions. But Stephen Houston, they had a chat going, I would never agree to play in Ireland if I was a coach. I totally agree with this. I thought, could you imagine flying 8+ hours to Dublin, Ireland to play a college football game, then it's raining on a soccer field? It's just, that was the worst outcome for a season opener for two teams that, they're playing a talent neutralized situation. It just brought in the element of an element into that game that shouldn't have been. And by the way, that would have been a Kansas State home game with a jacked up crowd when Iowa State fans, obviously they get to go to Dublin, Ireland. I get it, but I agree. I think that whole idea needs to go by the wayside.
Nathaniel wants to know, does Hartline run the same offense as last year? And does having Canoe help with knowing scheme, even with Patricia? Also, does Baxter get 12+ touches? Hook 'em.
I would say that Hartline will run a eerily similar offense, if not completely similar. Is he going to be more willing and open to throwing the ball? Is a good question. Is he going to be as nuanced in the running game as perhaps Chip Kelly was? I think Chip Kelly's a really good run game coach.
Yes.
So I think that's maybe a little bit of what Ohio State will miss with his exit. And I think Hartline is a former wide receivers coach, so it may be natural that he wants to put the wide receivers in the best position possible. As far as having Hero Canoe help with knowing the scheme, not necessarily with Patricia, but the offensive blocking scheme for Ohio State, right? Because that's who Hero Canoe goes up against. I don't know that will mean much. And I would take the under on, does Cedric Baxter get 12+ touches? If he gets, I said 3 or 4 weeks ago, 1 to 3 in this game. I've upped that to about 4 to 8. I have a hard time seeing him get 12 out of the gate. I just do, even though he's so ahead of schedule. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
And our next super chat comes from Brent this morning. Thank you, Brent. He says, good morning, guys. Can you predict the snap counts for Justice Terry, Lance Jackson, and Grayson Littleton?
I think of those three, you'll see Grayson Littleton on the field the most. Well, that's special teams. That's maybe some time at nickel. Justice Terry, Lance Jackson, that's a tough first game for a freshman defensive lineman.
Yeah.
That is not just a Colin Simmons edge rush guy, right? Where it's a elite skill that you go out and you're not asked to play 3 downs. I think Justice Terry and Lance Jackson, that's a tough opener for those guys. I'm not saying you won't see him on the field. I think, but Sark said he's going to play up to 30 players potentially on defense in the first half. You can almost count the 30 without even hitting Terry and Jackson.
Yeah. Here's my take on that. I would say unless it's an Ohio State blowout.
Yeah.
They're up like they did to Oregon, 31-0 in the first, 20 minutes of the game. Unless it's that, I would expect Terry and Jackson a max of 5 plays in week 1. Okay. The second, as far as Grayson Littleton, I'm going to go 7 to 10. And some of that, I'm not so sure it's going to be, and I'm not talking about just special teams, to Jerry's point.
Yeah.
Because I do think Littleton's going to be on all specials.
All right, our next one from Jay Lee. Whose O-line will be better, ours or Oklahoma's?
Oklahoma, OU. We talk about OUs or OSU.
I think he means OU.
Okay, Ohio State's would be better, is expected to be better than Texas if you listen to Ohio State. By the way, if you'll listen to the interview I had on Saturday with Tim May, I asked him who do we need to look out for at Ohio State. He listed 20 players. As far as OUs, I think Texas should have a better O-line than OU. OU's expected to play and start Fasusi at this point. And I think Texas should be better and more ready.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, I think Texas should have a better O-line than OU this year.
Jeff Carey wants to know how many Texas sacks and how many Ohio State sacks.
Texas needs to get 3 sackles in this game.
Well, sackles include tackles for loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just calling them sacks off my misspeak months ago. They need to get 3 in this game. They need to hit it, but I think more than the sack number in this game is how many times they can connect in some way with Julian Sayin. And that can be connect, getting a hand on him, disrupting timing, getting a hit on him, maybe he stays up. I think as important as a sack number is how many times they affect him in this game. If you don't, I don't care if he's a redshirt freshman or true sophomore, whatever he technically is, or not. He's a talented kid. If you don't affect him, his weapons are too good. You have to affect him in this game. I think that's more important than a sack number. I think Ohio State will get 2 or 3 sacks in this game.
I'll just say 3 or 4 each by each team. New quarterbacks, 3 or 4 each. Got to make sure when you are sacked, you protect the football. That's a big key in this game too.
All right, our next super chat this morning from Junior Dogs. Thank you, Junior Dogs. Says, thanks for all you do for UT fans. Do you think that Ced Baxter and Trey Wisner, Colin Simmons, Ethan Burke, and the Edges come away from Saturday as the biggest heroes?
I want to add this name to you guys. And I should have, somebody mentioned it on our message board this morning, or he may have done it last night. And I just read it this morning. The name Colton Vasek. Colton Vasek had 10 plays against Ohio State and had 2 tackles for loss. Let's add him into that discussion on edges. I would say that, I think that Simmons, Burke, Vasek, and those guys are more known quantities. If Cedric Baxter runs over a safety and falls into the end zone from the 1-yard line, and Trey Wisner puts up 75 to 100 yards rushing, I don't expect that necessarily, right, from the Texas run game, because they didn't get it a year ago against Ohio State. I would put them more as bigger heroes, but we'll see. Simmons, Burke, Vasek, any of those guys, Trey Moore, Brad Spence, sack, fumble. Let's see what happens there.
And we have a pair of super chats about Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. Terrence Jones, thank you for yours. Says, Jerry, what defensive back covered Smith in last year's semis? He was held in check the whole game. And then Jerry's Jack Link says, call me crazy, but why is everyone acting like Smith can't have a sophomore slump? We know he's crazy talented, but we've seen it happen. Lots of new OL, new quarterback, new running game. He could have a totally different season.
Texas did that more with zone looks and bracketed coverage last year.
They traveled Jahdae Barron and put a bracket over the top of him.
Yeah, he was very, very, if you count all the snaps, somebody may have that. How many snap counts in that game was he actually single covered? It was not many at all. Not many at all. I think Ohio State's going to do is I think they're going to try to get the ball into his hands any way possible in the first quarter of this game. He's the best
short passes like they did against Oregon.
Yeah, a reverse, anything with him. He's the best player on their team. They got to get him in the flow earlier in this game. And they got to try to put pressure on Texas with that earlier in this game.
And he can't have – let's be clear. Jerry Jacqueline says we're acting like he can't have a sophomore slump. He could have a sophomore slump. Hey, Xavier Worthy had a sophomore slump at a level.
Injuries happen. You never know.
Yeah. But fundamentally, physically, it's hard to have a slump when you're as talented as that. I mean, Earl Campbell had a sophomore slump, right? Or a junior slump. It happens. physically, he's a freak, guys. I mean, he really is. And Texas fans did not see that in the Cotton Bowl on January 10th. We didn't. And so show me, not tell me, right, is the whole saying behind that. Let's see what he brings to the table this time, because I don't think it's going to be one catch for 3 yards. Kid's too talented.
No.
Hell no. Thank you for the super chat. Says, to the marketing fund, looking forward to a great week of OTF. We appreciate that. Hell no. Parth Brooks, how we doing, boys? Back from the abyss, 31-20 Longhorns. Hook 'em. Think everyone would be happy with that prediction, Parth Brooks. And then where's Melly? Says, I'll be watching from Warsaw, Poland while on a work trip. Anyone know of a sports bar that shows college football there to watch from? Hook 'em.
Our friend Jack Law would have known this, by the way. Good. I met with for those that don't remember, Jack Law unfortunately left us this off season to go to a better place. But I will say this: he one of his friends came out to the event down in Houston, Jerry. I think you talked to him as well with me, and just remembering, guy. I don't know where in Poland to watch the Longhorns.
Well, my chat says Spring Sports Bar, Shamrock Irish Sports Bar, and it's something a couple I can have no shot to pronounce.
Oh, in Poland, so somebody's there that
in Warsaw that people. There's NFL games that are shown, so maybe you could get a college game there.
There you go. Power of the internet right there.
There you go.
Sure. All right, our next one this morning from the Sports Dojo. Hey, OTF family, it's game week. Very excited for this year's season. Bobby, Jerry, what are you most excited about for this season?
So there's the actual games themselves, right? That is always the most exciting to me. But the subtext or the subplot for me is how Texas improves as the season wears along with so many young, talented players. I mean, Arch Manning is extremely talented and yet very young and inexperienced, right? I've said this from the start. I think Texas should be a much better team in November than they will be out of the gate, even though they're ranked number 1 out of the gate. I just truly believe that because look, we just talked Justice Terry and Lance Jackson and Grace Littleton. We're talking about, 0 to 5 snaps against Ohio State for 2 of those guys. How many are they going to be getting in November? I mean, is Jonah Williams going to be healthy in November? Is Emmett Mosley going to be? There's just so many pieces to that. And so while the games themselves for me are always the funnest and most exciting, the subtext is how they improve over time, because I just feel like if they can get to the college football playoffs, and I want to say this, if Texas can get to the college football playoffs while also getting that experience layered in there to the late in the season, Texas is going to be as talented as anybody in the country and have as much experience as anybody in the country. And those two things, when they match, Arch Manning with 14 games experience is going to be better than Arch Manning with 3.
No doubt. Not even close.
And so put him in that playoff scenario, and then the ultimate goal is in sight. So that's how I'm thinking about this season.
One of mine outside of Texas, since Bobby covered some Texas stuff, is which of these SEC quarterbacks are really going to take a big step? Is it Arch, first year starting? It would be a big step for him. He started 2 games. Is it Lenore Sellers? Because he has the least talent around him to work with of the guys I'm talking about. Can he carry a team? Can he truly carry a team? Is John Mateer going to live up to the hype? That's a big one for Oklahoma job security. Garrett Nussmeier, can he go win on the road at Clemson? And it's more than just him. Then is DJ Lagway going to stay? There's so much intrigue at quarterback in the SEC. There hasn't always been this much intrigue. What's this new starter for Georgia actually going to look like as a full-time starter? Can Jackson Arnold save Hugh Freeze? Is Austin Simmons as good as the hype at Ole Miss? There's some intrigue at quarterback. What's Tennessee going to look like at quarterback? Is Marcel Reed going to make enough improvements to help A&M become a playoff team? Then you have Alabama. Is Ty Simpson going to truly be better for Alabama's offense and Kalen DeBoer? On the surface, it should be. He's a better passer, now has a year in their system with DeBoer, and Grubbs is back as the OC. But the quarterback position in the SEC is very interesting because many years in the SEC, the quarterbacks weren't talked about as much. This year is totally different. How is that going to play out for Texas, for Oklahoma, for Florida, for Alabama, for Georgia, for South Carolina, and even Ole Miss, because Ole Miss has a great schedule if Austin Simmons is a really good player. So that's going to be the kind of the outside of Texas. What I'm looking at is how does this play out this season? Because, man, there's a lot. I think while on the surface you're like, oh, we have more answers than questions. I think going into the season, you actually have more questions than answers at that position because of Lagway's health. Can Jackson Arnold become a good player at Auburn? Can Marcel Reed take a step? What's Arch Manning going to look like, as Bobby says, as he gets more experience? Is Lenoris Newton just this level player to where it doesn't matter that he has the 9th best skilled players around them in the league? He can elevate the team to the playoffs. I mean, there's so many things that are going into this. That's what I'm watching is the SEC quarterback as a whole.
Texas Jasper says suffocating defense and a true balanced offense is my prediction. And that equals champions. Hook 'em.
Man, that's the formula.
Yep.
I mean, undeniably. That's, if Bill Parcells could write a mathematical formula for football, this would be it. Correct?
One of the interesting things last night that kind of came up in our chat was Texas averaged 72.8 plays per game offensively last year. And I think Ohio State was at 61. 61. So Ohio State last year was that team you're talking about. It was defense. They ran it more than they threw it last year. They had 535 rushing attempts versus 475-ish, 480 passing attempts. Ohio State was that team last year. Now, if Texas can become that team this year, I like their chances. I will say that. I think that you don't want Arch throwing it 40 times a game, especially early in the season. That's not what you want for your team's development or his development. So can Texas become what Ohio State was last year? That's the question. We're about to find out.
I agree. Texas, by the way, Ohio State last year, number 1 ranked overall defense in points per game, yards per game, yards per play, and red zone efficiency. There's a reason they won the national championship.
And by the way, I'm not saying Sark's going to slow it down to 60 offensive plays a game. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's going to play faster than that. But if it's at 70 plays per game this year, down a couple, is it going to have that same formula? That's what I'm watching.
All right. Let's see here. I tell you what, Bobby, before we get to our last super chats, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone about Longhorn Wealth Management Group?
I absolutely can. John Donovan, our friend over at Longhorn Wealth Management, has been a sponsor of ours now for more than 2 years. Actually, today is the 3-year anniversary, I guess I should say. Thank you so much, John, for everything you do. As a proud UT alum, John has served for 15 years as a Dallas, Texas Exes chapter board member and is now helping lead the build-out of the Collin County, Texas Exes chapter. John wants to encourage all Longhorn fans in the Collin County area to come join the Exes chapter at its official game-watching party for the Texas-Ohio State contest this Saturday at Dirty Birds in Plano. You can call or email John for all the details. John also wants to offer every Longhorn fan a free 90-minute private consultation with John and the Longhorn Wealth team to learn how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy, and wind up with a victorious retirement someday. John's predicting 48 sacks for the Longhorn defense this year in 12 regular season games. That's one more than a year ago. Don't procrastinate on this opportunity. Take advantage of this free 90-minute consultation to learn how to successfully build out all elements of your financial future. Call John and the Longhorn Wealth team, 972-707-4900, or go online, www.longhornwealth.net, to schedule your meeting today.
All right, back into some super chats. Let's see here. I can find it. Menu 2 Sports. Is it just me, or does Sark seem very excited and confident about his team? I'm trying to figure out why I am so confident, says Menu 2 Sports. Texas by double digits, baby.
He's definitely confident about this team. And does that mean they know how it's going to work out? Nope, nobody does. But he's definitely confident about this team. And I think it's pretty simple in a way. I mean, you've been to 2 straight college football playoffs, semifinals. You've recruited top 5 level classes 4 straight years in a row. You're a blue blood in the portal. You have multiple starters or guys that are going to play starter level snaps from the portal. That means they're NFL draft picks on a team this talented. No different than guys Ohio State gets in the portal. His staff stayed together, by and large, coordinators. He's got continuity there. He's got a lot of reasons, and he's got some great individual players on defense, Bobby, game changers, guys who are all Americans and could be a top 5 level pick, maybe the best edge rush prospect this university's had from an NFL draft perspective, and that's saying something. There's a lot of reasons for him to be excited this season.
And confident. I would say this. I mean, as we enter this season, one thing I wanted to add is, look, Texas and Steve Sarkisian, Texas right now enters this season having beaten Michigan last year, having beaten Alabama the year before that, and having played Alabama toe-to-toe the year before that. I just want to put this out there. If, for whatever reason, Texas beats Ohio State this weekend, I will never pick against Steve Sarkisian early in the year again, like ever. Because whether he's confident about that or he's confident about this team, I don't know. But seriously, they beat Alabama when everybody would have told you no. They went up and they kind of stomped a mud hole in Michigan. Maybe he's confident because he feels really good about his game plans early in the year. I don't know the confidence, but I'll tell you this much. If I picked against Texas famously so far, I say famously. I don't want to look too much at my own belly button there, but I think that if Texas goes up there to Ohio State and Columbus and wins, you would be a fool to pick against Texas early in the season ever again, as long as Steve Sarkisian's the coach. Just going to say that. That's maybe the reason for confidence, Jerry.
Yeah.
Random name 25. Thank you for the super chat. Happy start of the season, guys. Excited about this year. Have a great week and can't wait until Saturday morning on Texas Football Coffee and Football. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em. Thanks, random name 25. We appreciate you.
And then let's see here. Jeff Carey with another super chat says, I don't like Ohio State. What happens to the Ohio State coach if they lose to Michigan and don't make the playoffs? I'd say he's bought himself some time.
And not if he loses to Mitt.
He just won a national championship.
Ed Orgeron won a national championship and they got fired 2 years later.
Well,
Gene Chizik did that. Never. Now, the guy's got an unbelievable record.
Yes.
Other than against Michigan.
Yes. Yeah, look, If they lose to Michigan and don't make the playoffs, I'm not sure they don't run him out.
Wow.
It sounds crazy. If he could have got a job, maybe not fire him, but make it so bad you want to get out.
I have a hard time believing with his roster that he's going to have that issue this year.
No, I meant last year. He's saying if they lost to Michigan last year, I think he was. If he's asking this year, no, Ryan Day's good.
Yeah,
now,
that's what he's asking.
Last year, if they had lost to Michigan and there was they didn't make the college football playoff, I think they would have told him that there'd have been for sale signs in his yard.
Oh, if it would have been lost to Michigan, which he did, and then a first round exit of the playoffs, he was gone. Yeah.
So he's good. He's recruiting really well. He's going to have really good players. He's going to have a top 5 roster in college football. Look, for all these teams, if you're recruiting at that level and you actually have, if you're the coach and you know who to hire on your staff at one of these schools, college football is built for you to be in the playoffs 4 out of every 5 years in a 12 team. Once it goes to 16, it may be 5 out of 5. If it ever goes to 24, you should never miss the playoffs unless you have a rash of injuries at premium positions. That's just the way the rich are getting richer in recruiting right now. We'll see if that changes.
Then let's see here. We have one from Alex. Thank you, Alex. Did y'all see that there's going to be a corporate sponsor logo on the field this year, which was the big announcement that Texas sent out at about 8:15 this morning in their email from, hope I'm saying this correctly, Human, the official cardiovascular supplement of Texas athletics.
So they're saying it's going to be on the field?
Correct.
That's a first.
Yep.
Where is it going to be on the field?
Someone put it in the chat earlier. I should have started. The chat's just moving so quickly. I'm sure somebody can come back and answer that. We can circle back to it, but
I'm sure they're going to have a photo of where it's going to be at the 10 a.m. press conference coming up shortly. So we're going to have to get going here. Donald Britt, is recruiting over except for Flip's reclassifications from 27 to 26 too? And no, Grayson Littleton didn't have a Texas offer this time last year. He ended up with a Texas offer. Linebacker Kellen Wiley, even though he picked Miami over Texas on signing, they didn't have a Texas offer this time last year. Zealous Hicks was in the 26 class, not the 25. Justice Terry was not truly on the radar. So I don't think except for Flips. I think they're watch the reclasses and a couple of senior guys popping up.
Down there on the 25, Bobby, see it?
25.
It says Human. Zoom in a little bit.
There you go. How far off are we from having things on the uniform?
I hope they paid a ton of money for that.
Bobby, do you see today, chat, do y'all see today where we start to see advertisements on the uniforms? Pro PGA golf, not that level, not like 4 or 5 at Texas.
I hope it doesn't ever look like NASCAR. There already is an advertisement on the uniforms. People just don't see it that way, but Nike is an advertiser.
Right.
I mean,
outside the jersey manufacturer. Let's say outside the jersey
Riddell for the helmets, I think I could see it. I mean,
I can too.
Like I said, I hope they got a lot of money for that. And I'm sure they did. So it's another reason why it's hard to keep this, billion-dollar industry from happening and all of that stuff. I mean, everybody looks at it, but that's part of it. It's part of it. Price we pay for success.
More super chats this morning. Blake here with super chat says, what's the most overhyped narrative historically around the Texas program? Mine is the too many cooks in the kitchen regarding donors.
Okay, mine is a little different. Mine is too soft. Remember that narrative in the mid 2000s under Mac Brown when Bob Stoops kind of got the better of him? Texas was too soft. And here is one thing I will say about those narratives. both the too soft and the too many cooks in the kitchen regarding donors. They've both had a tinge or a kernel of truth to them at times. Not always, but at times. So those are the two.
Mine is from a recruiting perspective that Texas is recruiting out of state too much.
Okay.
That is mine because, look, things have changed in recruiting. Kids are worldly, or they travel around the country now. There's so many kids that have moved into Texas, so many kids have moved into Georgia, moved into Florida. You're not going to keep all these kids home. 1, 2, recruiting's changed. Agents are now part of the game. High school coaches are not as involved in recruiting. They know it. They don't want to be involved in it. And there's been so much movement, and recruiting's changed so much. For the people like, oh, Texas, they're not recruiting in their state enough anymore. I'm like, look, man, things have changed. You need to recruit your state successfully. But the days of Texas having 18 of 24 players in a class from the state of Texas are not likely going to happen again. A&M, the same thing right now. They have tons of out-of-state guys in their class. I just think recruiting's really changed, and that's one thing that I just disagree with is, Texas has to recruit more in-state. No, kids aren't staying in-state. Maybe the kids aren't from the state. The high school coaches, the landscape's changed with agents in the game now. The total recruiting landscape's changed. These kids are getting out and seeing more campuses around the country now. Everything's changed in recruiting. The whole goal for me with Texas recruiting is to sign 80 to 85% of your class from Texas east to Florida up to Georgia and in California. If they do that every year, they're going to be right where they need to be talent-wise.
Oh, we got a few super chats left before we get out of here. A couple of them are comments. Let's see here. Bryson Bass, thank you once again. Oklahoma will probably put their NIL Venmo address on the field. And then Jerry's Jack Link says, I was worried about Black sharing the Texas playbook with A&M. Then I remembered he doesn't know it. That's not very nice. Jerry's Jack Links. That's not very nice at all. And then we have a question from Burt Reynolds Jr. It says, Bobby Littleton is going to play, or well, a comment, I guess. Bobby Littleton is going to play more than 7 to 10 snaps. He's our coverage guy at nickel. Jelani can't turn and run with a speedy high-end slot receiver.
Problem is that Jelani's not the starting nickel. It's Michael Taff. So what are they going to? They going to take Jelani off the field or Taff off the field? Could. And I said this early in camp, and I was told this about. So I'm not debating that he can play more than 7 to 10 snaps, Bert. So I want to put that out there first. I was told this, and hopefully you guys heard it here first. Littleton plays the slot fade better than anybody at nickel on the roster. And that means he has that acceleration to get into a guy's chest late in routes. And so I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised by that, Bert. I would be surprised exactly how much they take McDonald, Williams, and or Taff off the field to accomplish that. I don't have the answer. You know, I do not have the answer, Bert. And I think maybe only Pete Kwiatkowski, Dwayne Akina have those answers, as well as the flow of the game itself.
Yeah, we had one other super chat come in from Hook to a T. Heard Bucky and Brad discussing rule changes like no sudden movements at the line and no simulations of weapons.
Yeah. Like when you make a sack, you can't do the gestures.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Instant 15 yards.
There we go.
The no sudden movements at the line is going to be really interesting. That's going to be subjective as the college season moves along. There's going to be a lot of people complaining about that. That feels – every rule is made for offense now, by the way, in athletics, almost every rule. That one's going to be really tough. That's going to be so subjective. People are going to be breaking down all those calls, what should have been called, what wasn't called. That one's going to be really tough for an officiating staff week to week. It's going to be scrutinized a lot.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I want to thank them, along with Chubby's, Prize Picks, Mint Mobile, and of course, our Grove Roofing for sponsoring today's show. Thank you all for tuning in as well. Bobby, what can folks expect later today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sitting down with Coach Bob Shipley and Coach Brian Irwin for the first edition of this year's Lunch with the Coach. Later today, brought to you by our friend Laura Baker over at Keller Williams. I'm also talking with Jerry later today about the physicality we've heard about in practice with some specific examples. We'll go over that. But really the big news of the day, we think, will be Steve Sarkisian getting to the microphone around 11:30. CJ and Jeff will be there for us and with an immediate live report following it for you guys to see if there's any breaking news. So a lot of stuff coming up. Also, Rod, Coach Shipley, and CJ getting going tonight with the new Monday night live stream as well. So it is football time, 5 days away. So whether it's James Brown, Bijan Robinson, Terrell Brown, Ahmad Brooks, however many days, who did I miss there? Did I miss somebody?
Adonai Mitchell.
Brown.
Oh, Adonai Mitchell.
Adonai Mitchell.
I said James.
Yeah. There's been a number of really
Terrell Brown.
Terrell Brown was 5.
Terrell. I said this.
Oh.
I got up this morning and I rolled left for James Brown.
There you go.
There we go.
I'm going to leave that alone.
Roll left for.
Hey, don't forget, by the way, that you can head on over to ontexasfootball.com. Remember, we can't be on here all the time, but we are there all the time. ontexasfootball.com. Use the promo code OTFOG when you sign up, and you can get a full year for just $39.95. That's for new subscribers only. So come check us out and be part of the ever-growing community over there.
Hey, wait. I got to bring this up.
Oh, gosh.
This guy sounds really familiar. Who could that be?
Oh, I didn't even see the super chat, so thank you for that.
Who could that be?
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, we have got to get out of here. I hope you all have a phenomenal day today. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.